Good evening, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. Oh gosh, 11 o'clock, well 5 after 11. So I guess we have to put this down to a late night meanderings, which I haven't done for a while, have I? Well, we've been pretty busy, but as always with Beth and I always say that usually people talk about finding their mission, but in fact what happened with us was that it was as if our mission found us, and we started trying to help people. And the thing about that I find about life is nothing comes in with a bang. Like, it doesn't just, you know, people don't just suddenly start a corporation. It doesn't happen that way. If you think that people who have done great things just woke up one Monday morning and said, oh well, time to do great things, it doesn't happen that way. Suddenly you might find yourself thinking a small thought. A lot of my thoughts are small thoughts, okay? Well, you just start thinking about maybe it would be nice to do that, and it's like a ghost of a thought. It just passes through. It's like those floaters. Do you have floaters? Later in life you might find that you have what are called floaters in the eye, and it's a little tiny speck that you can see, and it's always in peripheral vision. So it's off to the right here, and as soon as you look over there, it's gone, because it's always just to the right or to the left or up or down, so you can never quite see it very clearly. So I often think that when you try to find your mission, it's a little bit like trying to focus on one of those little floaters in your eye. It's impossible to focus clearly on that. If it was so easy, as the old saying goes, if it was so easy everybody would do it. Well, if it was so easy to find your mission and to do it, then everybody would be on mission. Instead of that, you have people wandering around saying, I wonder what is my mission in life? Well, here's what I think on that, for what it's worth. All things start from very small seeds. It's the way that the world, it's the way that Mother Nature, it's the way that it works. If your belief is in God, if your belief is in the Lord, in Jesus, in Gautama Buddha, in whoever's you perceive as being that ascended being which is guiding you. Now, however you look at that, and however you're being guided, be it that a thought comes to you, or that you believe that, say, your guardian angel is tapping you on the shoulder and saying maybe it would be a good idea to do this, that they're there, these beings which are somehow guiding us through our lives. You don't have to listen to them, you know. I remember when Hollywood deemed good and bad as conscience and the devil. So you'd have an angel on one side. Remember that stereotypical thing of there'd be an angel on one side, on the right of course, and then there'd be a mischievous looking but very cute looking devil that would be on the other side, and the devil would be advising you to have fun and to do everything that was wrong and to hell with everybody, and the angel, who would be a little bit boring, would be telling you, well, that's really not right, is it? And the angel would always seem to be a little bit you know, a bit fuddy-duddy, you know, oh, for goodness sake, why can't we have fun? And that image of good and bad fighting for you has somehow been maintained. If you remember Pinocchio wanted to be a real boy, and he was put on probation. He was a wooden boy that was somehow magically energized. He came to life, and the fairy that brought him to life, a very beautiful lady that came in from afar like a star and suddenly morphed into her human-looking self in the living room of that little house, said, if you can be a good boy, then you may be able to be a real boy. And that was his goal, was to be a real boy. And then of course we go through all of the different life phases until he actually becomes a real boy. But on his shoulder is a plucked at random is Jiminy Cricket, and Jiminy Cricket despairs of trying to tell this boy, this little wooden boy, oh, don't do that, that's not right, you know, you're going to be in trouble. And of course the boy doesn't listen until he has some pretty tough lessons to get through. Okay, so when you're looking for your mission, you really just have to listen to what's being said. Now, in our minds are a vast area which is beyond the physical. I don't think that there is any doubt about this. It's beyond the physical. We don't operate, whatever the scientists tell you, and now you're getting it from the source, of course. If you think that, I'm sorry about that, you'll be disappointed. But I do believe that the mind is nothing to do, it's not the brain. The brain is just there to tell your body to move in a certain way, to think, to actually move the fingers. It does all of that automatic stuff which you really don't have time to do. You don't have time to tell yourself to pick up straight or to breathe. Oh, by the way, keep breathing, and keep the liver moving and the heart beating. Heart, keep beating, for heaven's sake. Do I have to watch you every minute of the day? If you didn't have the brain, then you would, wouldn't you? You'd be doing everything, and of course you can't do everything. So you have to be relieved of all of the physical side by a physical watchdog, which is a brain. And that takes everything off your mind. And then your mind is free to do all kinds of creative things. But the thing is that the mind is full of thoughts which are, some are focused and some are random, and you have to, and some of them are not, some of the thoughts are not yours. And if you think that all of the thoughts in your head are yours, sorry, but you've got a disappointment coming there as well, because the thoughts in your head are neither all yours or all anybody else's. They're being regurgitated all the time, and I think that that's a good description, because some of the thoughts that you've been thinking in your mind have been there ever since you were a little kid. Any time that you go to do something and in your head your mother, as my mother used to say, would be, "Terence, what are you doing?" Well, I still hear that voice in my head, and I'm too old to be thinking about what Mummy did or didn't tell me to do, but the thoughts are still there. And I'm oversimplifying things and making fun of that, but it is actually the truth. And that is that many of the thoughts that you have in your head are just limiting thoughts, and they are there to, guess what, limit you. They're there to tempo what you do. They're Jiminy Crickets. They're the little devil on the left and the little angel on the right. It's up to you to actually make an effort to start thinking your own thoughts. You need to be able to discover which is you and which isn't. And this is an endless subject for for discussion, and it's one in which it doesn't. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could just walk through this stuff now? I've been talking for 10 minutes, I see, which is too long, of course. Wouldn't it be wonderful if it could just be explained to you, well, here's a situation, the brain will handle everything on the physical level, the mind is free to do creative thoughts, separate which are yours and which are not, and off you go. And off you go, and everything's just fine after that. The brain does its work without you fiddling about with it, and the mind is free, and you think all kinds of wonderful creative thoughts which are all yours because you now know, because you've been told. Wouldn't it be wonderful if it was that easy to learn? But it's not. What's that? I heard a saying in quite a good movie where the man said, you need to, he's explaining to his sales staff, you need to tell them, you need to tell them you told them, and you need to tell them again. And then they couple that with the saying that you need to hear something and take it in about 8 times before it actually becomes a thought which you are comfortable with and can operate on. So saying that it ain't easy, otherwise everybody would do it, is actually true. So you have to go out there and you have to work out what is best for you, and if you hold true to an ethic where you don't harm other people, then you might have a chance of being a good guy or a good gal and live a life which is without regret and which is rewarding, fulfilling. I don't hear many people talk about fulfillment, but that's really the subject of the next video, which I hope you'll have a listen to. Right, thanks for looking in. This has been A Foreigner in the Philippines.